This is the DNA Pest Control Podcast with your hosts, Daniel and Anthony.
How's it going, guys? All right. I know it's been a little bit since we have done a podcast. Unfortunately, like always, I guess I sound like I'm saying Anthony's dead, but he is not with us today. He is not sick. He is not dead. He is just not in the office. All right, guys? And also remember, we have jobs. All right? I'm an owner of a pest control company. He works as a technician for a pest control company. And so, guys, you know what? Sometimes we just don't have time to do it. So we try to do as many as we can. We try to bring you the most relevant information to help out, but sometimes we just can't make it. We do have jobs. We don't make money from this podcast. It is free for a reason. We are not charging you guys, all right? So today, on this gloomy, couple weeks that we've had, this crazy turmoil, what a life to live right now, guys. This is going to be a history. I know it sucks. The world's going crazy right now, but think of the positive. This is an amazing time to say that we've been through, if everything goes all right. And I do think it will. I actually am very optimistic about it. But this is such an amazing time to be living and say that we've been through something like this. I have a grandma who went through World War II, actually grandparents. Grandpa passed away, but grandma is still living. She's killing it. She is up and going. I think she's going to stick around for a little bit longer, which, you know what? She's had an awesome life. So if she does pass at any time, you know what? She's well lived. But I just wanted to let everyone know that she went through World War II and kind of the craziness. She actually lived in Germany. And for some of you who are going to make a ton of jokes, no, she is not a Nazi. Okay, we're going to clear the air on that. But for those who are taking it more serious, she actually lived through something like this. I would say it was probably about 100 times worse, because in that time, the German economy went from being the strongest almost in the entire world to nothing overnight. And it was a pretty big deal. And so they didn't have any food. They had to really, it was starve. It was make you got to figure out how to make food. You got to figure out how to live. And that's what they did. And she made it through those hard times. And so, I look at this as this is just a hump in the road. This isn't some crazy war where it leaves a country absolutely devastated. I know it will actually leave some countries devastated, but in the U.S., if you're listening in here, it's not going to leave us devastated. We do have great leaders who are trying their best to make sure that we make it through this. But today, we just got to remember that, we got to take this one day at a time. We need to take a deep breath. We need to stay calm. I know everybody around us is freaking out. I'm trying to do my part to stay calm in the office as well as outside the office, not overreacting, buying up all the toilet paper. Yep. If you're one of those guys, thanks. You're really making it really dumb, actually. Unfortunately, toilet paper is not going to make you live longer. If you do have a respiratory problem and you do get the coronavirus, toilet paper does not fix that. But thanks for buying it all up for us. You are doing awesome, and those companies are laughing all the way to the bank. So thank you. And for anybody else who is buying up all the food, guys, it's perishable items. Come on. It's going to expire before you can eat it. Okay? Shopping carts full of eggs, milk. Seriously? Come on, guys. It's not the end of the world. Those places are still producing. It's a virus. It is not as if we had a natural disaster and we could not make those things, or there was roads taken out or railways removed. We still have ways to ship things. So stay calm, be smart, and don't buy up the entire store. You're only hurting yourself, and you are making the economy worse in the long run. I'm not going to get into that right now. partially because that's not my expertise, but I have my opinions on it, which I will not get into because that is not the reason of this podcast. But during these times, guys, be smart, be safe, do what you need to. And I'm going to go over a lot of stuff. I'm going to throw out the credit right now to NPMA. If you are not part of that association, if you have the money to become a part of that association, if your company is not a part of that association, tell them they need to get a part of that association. All this credit for today is actually to them. I want to give them the credit for this podcast. NPMA has done a wonderful job. I wish they would actually jump on board and jump on one of the podcasts with us. So if they do end up listening to this, hopefully that they will jump on board. But they came out with a few awesome things. They had a entire webinar. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, guys. They had an entire webinar for us on Friday. So if you haven't listened into that, I'm going to go through it really quick. Really fast on it. I'm not going to hit too deep. But I'm also going to hit a few other things that are very important for technicians and for business owners during this time. First things first, essential services. Guys, the government has come out and has told us that these services do and do not have to stay open, but they are one of the essential services. So if you are on lockdown, like wonderful California, and I just got a text from a buddy saying Colorado just enacted it as well, and a few other states like New York and Washington, we are one of the essential services, meaning us and plumbers and electricians, anybody who picks up the garbage man would be an essential service to keep the city clean, to keep the United States going as a clean environment, third world, a first world country. So the federal government, I'm just going to read a quick little caption. This is from NPMA. They did come out and say this, and so I am quoting them. They said, the federal government currently does not have a nationwide shelter in place mandate, meaning you guys do not have to stay home. Okay, if you are not in one of the states that have come out and said there's a shelter mandate or stay-at-home act or clause or whatever they're coming out with, that means you do not have to stay home. Now, be smart. Stay 6 feet away from people. Don't get in groups over 10. If someone's sick, stay away from them for 2 weeks. Those are all things that have come out. Be smart about it. But it does say, however, should the president order a nationwide restriction, pest control and extermination services have been deemed essential by the United States Department of Homeland Security in their memorandum. Okay? Which means, and then it also says, released earlier this week, this means that our industry will likely be deemed essential in any federal order, okay? And then it says, the language states, workers such as plumbers, electricians, exterminators, and other service providers who provide services that are necessary to maintaining the safety, sanitation, and essential operation of residents. Okay, guys, this is important because you know what? In these times of need, I always had it in the back of my head, you know what? Pest control is never going anywhere. There's always bugs. We're good, right? That's just how it is. Well, now, if you guys have ever been gloomy about your job or your position, thank goodness you don't work at a gym, or you do not work at a movie theater or at a mall or at any store, because right now those places are all closed down. So we are one of the essential services that have to stay open. Sorry, not have to stay open, but they are encouraging us to, because we help with the sanitation, the safety, and the operation of residents in the United States, which is absolutely correct. Think about it. If someone had an issue with rodents, who do they go to? They go to us, guys. If someone has cockroaches, which I just set up an appointment today, if someone has cockroaches, German cockroaches in their kitchen, infesting their home, putting them at risk, from getting other diseases, apart from, viruses and the coronavirus, let's talk about E. coli and other things that can come through, the hantavirus that can kill people. actually, the mortality rate on the hantavirus is way worse than the coronavirus. Now, the coronavirus does spread a lot quicker, so there is that concern. But, we are essential to that. We are protecting people's homes. We are protecting people's lives. We are helping them. Bed bugs, that's a huge thing. People can't get rid of those on their own. We have to come in. We have to help them out. So if you are one of those smaller businesses that have to shut doors, I get it. That sucks. And I'm sorry that you have to do that as a pest control company. I do hope, I do wish you the best, but anybody who can stick around as much as possible, please do that, because people need our services more than ever right now. With everything that's going on, as crazy as it is, restaurants still are open. Burger King, McDonald's, all those places, fast food restaurants, they're still open. They still need our services. They're still cooking food. 7-Eleven still has food. We have to keep those businesses open. And so if they do not choose you or you close down, they will choose someone else. As technicians, if you did not have pride in your job, I hope you do now. The government is saying you are an essential service, so be proud to be a technician. Be proud to be out there helping people and knowing what you know, because you are keeping, the safety, sanitation, and operation of residents. Okay, guys. Now there are shelter orders in place. I'm not going to go through them all. There's a huge long list. I'm just going to hit a few. Hopefully you guys don't live in those areas where you do have to follow that. Unfortunately, at the top of the list, California, we are one. We were the first ones, actually. So where the governor actually enacted a shelter in place order. So, but he actually specifically said pest control is deemed essential. So, which is awesome, so we're still able to work. Connecticut has the shelter in place order, Delaware, Hawaii, Indiana, Illinois, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Colorado, but they just came out with a stricter, it does say they actually updated it. So today that Colorado did. Now the unfortunate thing about Colorado is not specifically mentioned pest control. So in their services, so they actually might not be an essential service to be open. But the great thing is federal government has come out and said that. So even though Colorado might not pass that, I think you are still okay for the time being, unless Colorado specifically says, hey, pest control, shut it down, which I don't think they will. We work alone. We don't come in contact with a lot of people. Plus, we can't. We're dealing with chemicals. We got to keep people away from us anyway. So it'd be kind of weird if they did shut us down or make us not do that. But as of right now, in those states that I mentioned before, all those are shelter in place, and we are mentioned as an essential service. So guys, be prideful, do your best job right now. I can't hit on it enough. If you're not doing what you can out in the field and you're not doing the best job you possibly can, you are going to be looked at as the first one to let go when owners and managers are cracked down and forced to let people go because people postpone their services or whatever may have it. So remember that you are crucial in these times, and you need to make sure that you step up and do your part. I am having conversations with my guys about how they need to do their part on, saving as much, gas, driving the best they can, doing the best service they possibly can to stand out from everybody else, because that's important in these times. People are going to see that, and if they don't see that we're doing the best possible service, they're going to look at us as to be cut. And they're going to cut us from their expenses, and we have to go somewhere else. And so if we're not going to step up to that and do the very best job that we can, we as technicians, we are going to be let go, and we will be essentially pushed away. Also, guys, moving on to the next one, I'm not going to go too in depth on this, but small business owners with 500 employees or less, they do have a bill they are passing with $300 billion. If you do need help paying payroll and certain things like that, get on board with those loans that they have created. They are looking, they're looking to help small businesses to keep us going, especially us because we're an essential service. I'm sure they're going to be pushing that favor on us. Now, onto the webinar that NPMA came out with. They did a very good job with this. They do have, if you go onto their website, they came out with a website called pestcontrolcoronavirus.com. Okay. Once again, that is www.pestcontrolcoronavirus.com. Now, in that, you can just scroll down. Actually, you don't even have to scroll down. It's literally right on the front page, popping in your face. It says, view the recorded webinar, or you can even download the PowerPoint. They have a bunch of doctors in there, and they have everything you can think of. And so with that being said, you can click on that, and it is open to the public. So anyone can actually see this. They can go online. They can download it. They can look over everything. And honestly, you guys can look at some, some ideas and what you need to do. So I just wanted to go over a few different things about this, making sure that everyone knows, and especially your guys that are out in the field, I am having strict conversations with mine about these things because they have to do this. They have to clean their hands as often as possible, not only because we're in the pest control industry and it's required of us, but now even more, you have to do that. Now, covering coughs and sneezes, wearing a face mask if you are sick, cleaning and disinfecting everything. We have alcohol wipes in our trucks. I do suggest getting alcohol wipes in your guys' trucks as well to make sure that everybody is staying safe and clean. Every time they come into the office, we have Clorox wipes, Clorox, and other cleaning products so that they can disinfect. I have enacted a strict policy. If anyone is sick whatsoever, they have to stay home for at least 15 days. So I am not allowing anyone to come into work if they are sick. That is including me. If I'm sick or if I get sick, I stay home 15 days, no questions asked. That's just what it is. And then avoiding close contact. So guys, keep your distance at 6 feet away. Typically your web pole is about 6 feet. So if you want to go knock on a door, back up, put your web pole between you and the door. That's about as far as you can be. Talk to that person from that depth. If they ever say anything, I've trained my guys to say, hey, sorry, we just want to make sure that you're safe and we're doing our part for society, to be able to keep on running and keeping you guys safe from the virus, but also being able to keep you safe from pests. So the second that there's a guy who's running around who's sick, then unfortunately, you know what? If he starts spreading that virus, they're going to start cracking down hard on pest control. So guys, techs, owners, make sure you're doing your part. I had a guy who called out sick. I really don't care. I'm going to just say everything. I'm not going to mention his name or anything, but he knows who he is. And if he listens, he'll know. But guys, I was so hoping he was drunk or something, but he called out sick. He said he's been coughing. He pretty much hit on some of the symptoms from coronavirus. And so I had to tell him, sorry, you can't work. And so he's out for at least 15 days, which really sucks. But in this time, I'm not even going to take the chance, not even close. So I wanted to go over some other numbers from NPMA that they did. So the coronavirus, they talked about how 80% of the cases are actually mild to moderate, and they don't even require anybody to go to the hospital. So it's actually not that bad. The worst thing about the coronavirus I've heard from different sources is that it's actually because people are overreacting and they are making it a bigger deal than what it actually is. And it's not because that the coronavirus is going to kill anybody necessarily, which it does. It does kill elderly, and people with weak immune systems and already have health problems. But that they are worried that it is going to that it essentially is going to fill up the hospitals to where the people who need it can't get care, and the people who don't need care, are the ones getting care. And so they're trying to control that, and that's why there's these stay at home and everything like that, as well as they're not 100% sure how this thing works and how it causes, they just don't know much about it. So without that, that's a big scare, is when you don't know anything about it. Like if you guys think about it, AIDS, okay? AIDS was this thing that if you found out someone had AIDS, you couldn't even swim in the same pool as them because they thought it could be transmitted through water, that you couldn't touch someone, you couldn't kiss someone. It was this huge ordeal. Now that was a little bit before my time, but I've heard so many documentaries about it because, some of the basketball players were getting hit so heavy with it, and some even had it to where they couldn't even play anymore because they thought this thing was going to be, if you breathe on someone, you're going to get AIDS. Well, once they figured everything out, they found out, okay, it's not as bad as what, we think it is, and everything calmed back down. I think this is going to be the same. I think they're going to find everything out, and everything's going to calm back down. They even do go over a few, so roughly 20% of the cases are severe enough to require medical attention or hospitalization, and they even say of that 20%, so out of the 20% that are actually severe cases, only 5% of the cases become critically ill and require admission to the ICU. So guys, we're talking very, very, very small numbers. I mean, I think the current daily number for the coronavirus is in its 300. Let me see here. I'll give you the exact number because that's going to be the easiest. But so we are at right now by the Worldometers info. I don't know. I haven't gotten any other websites, but that's the one that I've been looking at. So it's saying that the current cases are 378,741. So deaths are 16,000, and there's been 101 recoveries from that. Meaning, essentially, there's only 260,000 active cases. There's been 118,000 that have been closed. That is including deaths. But just to give you an idea, there's 7-point-something billion people on this planet, and only 378,000 have been infected. And only 16,000 of those have actually died. So it's very minimal, but we do need to make sure that we are doing our part. But don't freak out. We need to be calm about this because we're putting ourselves in a stressful situation to where others who actually need the food can't find the food, who need the medicine can't get the medicine, who need the hospital beds can't get the hospital beds because people are freaking out way too much. So guys, just so you know, so the hospitalization rate average percent for total cases is only 19%. So, but unfortunately, guys, we don't have a huge amount of hospitals. We don't need it. In the general public, a lot of the things are a lot of self-remedies. And so we don't need this huge amount of hospitals throughout the entire U.S. and other countries because not that many people actually need hospitals. A lot of hospitals stay vacant. They stay open. There's a lot of beds that are still open and available throughout the year when there's not a coronavirus. Now that there's coronavirus, everybody wants to go to the hospital, get tested, and stay in the hospital. Well, the problem with that is you fill up the hospital. So stay calm. It's okay. And then they even go to say the fatality rate percentage of reported deaths among total cases are 1 to 3.4%. So it actually still is very, very, very low. But that's because of our great doctors and, the hospitals and the research that they've been doing. So, there's a lot of things like that. And then it also goes over the essential services. We already talked about it. The CEO, Dominic Stump, he wrote a letter, which was awesome. Thank you, to Dominique for doing that and NPMA for putting all this together. But he did say, as you consider next steps regarding emergency response and potential restrictions on business operations, we respectfully request that the pest control industry be recognized as an essential industry, providing a service that is indispensable in the effort to protect public health and our nation's food supply. And he is spot on. That was great. Great. I mean, I don't know who helped him write that or if he did it on his own. Good job. But that is on point with what we're doing. We are the reason why, we're able to eat food and, the people are safe. On the health side of things, when it comes to insects, we are doing a huge part, guys. So remember that. They also go on, to say, that there's, exterminators. We're okay. We are an essential service. NPMA has reached out to everybody, all 50 states, governors, everybody. Literally, they have a whole list if you want to go look at it. And then they just kind of hit on some of the, what's the word? Stay Home Act and everything like that. Now, there's a few other things that they do break down. Let me go through here. But the best way, if you want to get the most information out of this, you just go listen to it. I think it's like an hour or so, or somewhere around there. But, just go listen to it. Go take the time out of your day. If you're staying at home anyway, go take the time, go listen to it, figure out, exactly what they said, listen to everything. They go over all the bills that are being passed. They go over HR for owners, you listen to it, technicians listen to it, your rights through there, because a lot of rights have changed and you need to make sure that you are on top of that, because, as an owner and as a technician, you need to know what your rights are if you do get sick. And what help is coming your way from all these bills that are being passed, because there are a lot of things being passed. So, just keep an eye open for that. So, because the employers need to pay the employees if they get sick. Now, I did read up on it. If you are a small company under 25 employees, you are exempt from that. Just so everyone knows, even technicians, if you go in, I had a guy who's very strict on laws, but just so those guys, if you are listening, if your company is less than 25 employees, they may be exempt from paying you sick time. And so even though they came out and said anyone who's worked past 30 days needs to get sick time, that is only if you have enough money to pay people. So if you're under 25 employees and you can't pay them sick time, you don't have to pay them sick time if they haven't gotten it yet. So we are being protected, smaller companies. Unfortunately, if bigger companies have mismanaged their money, and some of the uppers been taking bigger bonuses than they should, then you guys might be shutting down. But just remember that, if it is under those limits, that there is protection against smaller companies, and you guys are okay. We are safe. Now, I do want to hit on one thing, because we did go over, to do a disinfectant service, which is to kill the coronavirus. DSV has come out and it has been federally endorsed, and they have said that it does kill the coronavirus, the COVID-19, or also the SAR, S-A-R, COVID-19. But now in NPMA, they did talk about the disinfection services. I just wanted to read what they said. So they said some pest management firms are considering adding disinfection services to their operation to help protect the health and safety of their community and to add a new service line to their business. However, there are many safety and regulatory factors that must be considered before applying disinfectant products. This section provides a brief outline of those elements that your business must take into account before providing these services. Okay, here comes the next one. Antimicrobial products are registered with the U.S. Environment Protection Agency Office of Pesticide Programs. Although at this time no products are currently registered for the novel human coronavirus strain, that is of current concern. EPA has published a list of products that are approved for the use against the viral pathogen, a link to the EPA. So then they put a link in there, so go check it out, which is the EPA registered disinfectant for use against SARS-CoV. DSV came out and they take care of SARS-CoV-2. Now on there, in their label, it also says coronavirus, human coronavirus. Whether they are on the EPA registered disinfectants, I do not know 100% if it is for the human coronavirus, but on the label it is. So here there is a list. Let me click on it real quick and I can tell you a little bit more about it. Oh, it's not going to let me. Well, thanks, guys. Okay, so I can't click on it, but I will do some research and I will let you guys know on that. But it also says, in response to the outbreak, EPA has activated its emerging viral pathogens guidance for antimicrobial pesticides. This is a voluntary process for antimicrobial registrants to enable the use of certain EPA-registered disinfectant products against the emerging viral pathogen. As such, new products may be added to the EPA list. Okay, so it's just letting us know that, things that could come out. New products are getting added daily on what we can and can't use for a disinfectant service. Now, they do go into, so they do say service practices. No single best practice or standard operating procedure has been established for disinfection services. Businesses are developing disinfectant protocols based on the label instructions for the antimicrobial products being incorporated into the service. As with every pesticide, always read and follow the label instructions. Efficacy of antimicrobial products may be dependent on the length of time that the treated surface remains wet. This may impact equipment selection since droplet size and application volume varies between equipment type, which will impact the drying time. And guys, that's crucial. So I know a lot of videos on Instagram are going viral, YouTube, and it's showing guys using these like mister type things that they're putting products in. Every product I've read to today, everything has to sit on a surface wet for at least 10 minutes. If anyone has ever used a vaporizer, mister, or anything like that, it does not stay wet for 10 minutes. So definitely be careful with what you're using and how you're using it. But you need to keep that surface wet for at least 10 minutes. So, guys, even though, if you want to do a service like this, you do want to come out with a service, make sure you are being very, very, very open about what you're doing, and that once the surface dries, the product is inactive, meaning that it can get infected again. Someone comes in who has the coronavirus and sneezes on your table, guess what? You now have the virus on your table once again. So you got to remember that, it is a very temporal service. It is to go in, disinfect, and then if people want to go in, well, they can go back in, and it's in a disinfected house. But now, you also have to remember that there's only certain areas that you can disinfect. Okay, you cannot use DSV on countertops, at least in the state of California. So there's some things that you are restricted to with DSV on where you can even treat and where you can spray and where you can do things. So just be careful with that. Now, it does say, it goes over some terminology, which is very, 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 very important, okay? A cleaning service or cleaning, removal of visible soil from objects or surfaces, okay? A disinfectant service is eliminating pathogenic microorganisms, man, I can't talk today, except bacterial spores on inanimate objects. Sterilization, eliminating all microbial life through various physical or chemical methods, okay? So depending on what you are going to say, you got to put the right verbiage. If you do not, that is going to be a very iffy situation for you. So be careful with that. Now they just go on EPA registered products. It says always read and follow the label, which is absolutely key. Contact time is key for efficacy results. So efficacious results, which is absolutely correct, guys. You got to make sure that it's on there for a long enough time. If you're only going to spray it on there, it dries in 2 minutes. You didn't actually kill any viruses. So you actually did them a disservice and they paid you a bunch of money for nothing. So make sure that you are following that label to a T. Also, product will influence equipment selection. Absolutely correct. I do suggest not using one of those little misters that everyone sees online. Actually use a B&G where you can spray it and you can soak certain products and surfaces so that you can kill everything on that surface. And then remember, PPE is important. So on DSV, you do have to change from just a regular safety glasses to a full face shield. Okay, so there are some differences on what you can do and how you can do it. I suggest if someone's going to start this up and do a service, make one guy the man who does it all. Make him an expert. Get him going on it. But that's it, because he's going to have the PPE to do that. He's going to have different equipment. You can't just be going in there with a bunch of pesticides inside that B&G, and then you throw some disinfectant in there. So you got to make sure that you are doing your part. Also, you got to check your insurance coverage. That is huge. If you do not have the insurance coverage for it, do not do it, because if something goes wrong, you are liable for all that. And then also it does say develop a standalone contract and agreement, which is 100% just smart. So if you're a smaller company, go in there, change that, get an agreement, whether you have to go do it online with a lawyer or you can do it yourself, but definitely set it up to where the standards are there and the customer understands the liability and that you are not going to guarantee that the virus will not infect anybody in that home. You got to make sure that you are there to disinfect. You are going to clean certain surfaces against certain things. You need to put that in that agreement. Just like a cleaning service. You know what? If I come home and I destroy my house, I can't call the cleaning service and say, hey, what the hell, guys? You just came and cleaned out you cleaned my house today and now it's dirty. Well, it's because they can't control what you do in that house after they leave. During that time that they're there, they can make sure it's clean, but once they leave, that's up to you to keep it clean. And that is the same with this disinfectant service. Is we can go in and clean it. We can disinfect it, we can sanitize it, but there's a limit to that sanitation. There's a limit to what we can do. And so that's up to them, to go back in there and keep it clean. They do say, they do go over some things where licensing and certification requirements vary. And they do say contact state, lead agency to confirm requirements. Requirements may change as a result of emergency rules, meaning, if they have some laws up there, but we can get our hands on these products, but we're not supposed to use them as a as a sanitation product or a disinfectant product, then those rules actually might change where they might open it up to other people, so we can start jumping on that to help out with what's going on. So guys, just remember, be safe out there. Also remember, we don't get paid for this. We are doing this for free. We are helping you out. If you could please like us on whatever platform that you listen to us on. Try to, throw us a like, throw us a comment, email us, do everything you can to support, and so we can keep throwing these at you. We do not get paid, nor do we, are we looking for it. We're just looking to make sure that this pest control industry can grow and we can become the best that we possibly can by giving you guys this awesome information and help. All right, guys, have an awesome day. In whatever your endeavors, I hope that you guys are staying safe out there and keep that distance from people as much as possible with what you can do. Thanks for listening, guys.
Hey guys, this is Anthony, and here's a quick reminder. We want to hear from you, whether you're a technician, owner, or operator. We want to hear your stories, whether it's a horror story on the field, a funny story with the client, or just something straight up crazy or weird you've seen. And how can you do this, you ask? Well, Our email is dnapestpodcast@gmail.com. That's DANDA pestpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us at Twitter and direct message us there at DNA Pest Podcast. That is D, the letter N, A, Pest Podcast. Follow us on Twitter. Or you can reach out directly through our website at dnapodcast.com. That's DANDA podcast.com. We want to hear from you, so let's hear it.